So let's talk about building generational wealth. Hey, I'm Kristi. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode. So most of you know I am a mortgage loan officer and I love teaching about money. So there are many, many ways that we can leverage our money. And in this video, I want to talk about how to leverage it when it comes to buying real estate. So if you are looking to buy your very first home, or if you haven't owned real estate in the last 3 years, you're considered a first-time home buyer. And there are loan programs out there with as little as 3% down. And in a lot of cases, that is first, last security. And if you're like me with pets, pet deposit, right? So we can help get you into a home with very little out of pocket. And that means you can now start being your own landlord. I've got a lot of young adults getting started right out of college. They want to be in the home ownership realm, and now they are the landlords. They're renting out their spare bedrooms. They're collecting more in rent than what their mortgage is even costing them. And so that way they can start saving for their next home purchase. So let's say you now have bought your first home and you're thinking about turning that into your first rental. This is where we start building that wealth, okay? You can leverage by borrowing 95% on your next home purchase. So you can actually convert your current home into a rental property. So let's say that second and third bedroom that you were renting out, you love these guys, they're taking good care of your property, and maybe you just replace yourself and put in a third tenant in there, or you wind up just getting a family in there to rent from you. So we can actually use 75% of that monthly rent to help offset the carrying cost of what is now your primary home turned rental. So your next home, you have as little as 5% down. You can put down any amount, but what I'm saying is you could save up 5% in a very short amount of time. So let's say you lived in your first home for 2 years and you converted it into your first rental property. Now you've got at least 5% down, you buy your next home. Now with this 5% down, you guys, that means you are moving into it as your primary residence. Just a quick side note, if you are buying an investment property for the purpose of renting it out, I need for you to know that it requires a larger down payment, usually somewhere between 20 and 25%. I know there are some loan programs out there that require a little bit less, but you'll pay a lot more, which will affect your cash flow. So if your monthly payment costs you more, it's going to, carve into what you're collecting for that difference for your monthly payment outflow and your rent, your inflow. So you want to keep that as low as possible. And I know for my lenders, there's a very big difference on the interest rate and the terms if you put down 20% down versus 25% down. I don't know why that 5% is so magical, but there's a big difference if you can get to that 25%. So that's what you would use if you were buying it for the purpose of an investment property. The more cost-effective and streamlined way to get there is by converting your primary home into your investment home. So you've already converted your first home into your first investment property. You've bought your next home with at least 5% down and you moved into it and you're living there. Maybe you buy a diamond in the rough, right? It hasn't been touched in 40 years because the original homeowner just didn't upgrade it over time. So now you've put in this fabulous kitchen. Maybe you've upgraded the floors. You've done some things to it cosmetically and renovation wise to make it really awesome. And you do this over time while you live there. That's the way I would encourage you to do it. So now you go from it being your primary residence. Let's say you lived there for 2 years and you convert it into your next investment property. So you can do it that way. Or what if you're able to sell this one for a ton of money? Here's a really cool loophole. And at the time of this recording in September 2020, because everything changes, taxes change, laws change. I'm not an accountant. I am not an attorney. I'm not a financial advisor, just trying to give a little bit of basic guidance. But at the time of this recording, you can sell your primary residence if it has been your primary residence for at least 2 full years and not pay any capital gains on the equity that you get. So let's say you bought this second home for $200,000 and you put some money into it and you upgraded it over time. And let's say a couple years later, you're able to sell it for $300,000. That $100,000 equity, you don't have to pay any federal income tax on it. It's not income. So that's super cool. So maybe you put that as a large down payment on your next home. So that way you don't have mortgage insurance, you have a really nice low monthly payment, but this really kick-butt home that you're living in that you don't have to pay an exuberant amount of rent for, or excuse me, mortgage payment for. So you can flip it, right? You can turn it into a sale and use that money. And again, that rule of thumb is 2 years of it being your primary residence before you don't have to pay any capital gains. So otherwise, you can just turn that one into your second investment property and start buying homes like that, and over time build your real estate portfolio. So if you look at some of the richest people in our world, a big chunk of their wealth is in real estate. So this is the way to get it started. This is the way I'd recommend to go. And so when you are looking for your first home, look at it from the eyes of, will this make a really great rental? And then flip it into a rental after you've been there for a couple of years and just keep doing that. Can you imagine if you did that every 2 years, moved into a diamond in the rough, made it really beautiful and a place that somebody would love to live in, and then converting it into a rental so you can get maximum rent from your tenants, but you also get a really great quality of tenant that will take good care of your property. So I love the idea of leveraging with real estate and mortgages to help you build the kind of wealth that your family will get to inherit, and you can change the trajectory of not only your life, but of theirs too. Thanks so much for watching. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. If you are seeking information that is really tied to credit, I invite you to join me over in the podcast world. I have a podcast called Credit Coaching by Kristi, and every week I drop a new episode talking about all things credit and just really trying to do a bang-up job of teaching you some of those things so you can have the best credit score possible, so you can get the best interest rate possible when it's time to borrow money. So thanks for watching, and until next time, my friends, stay well.